at the Northside Branch Library, and I am
I'll
thrilled
hold
to
it
be
for you.
hosting the LinkedIn Local program. My host, Krista, is going to be here very
Thank
shortly,
you.
stuck in traffic right now, as a lot of us were. But I am very happy to introduce our esteemed panelists tonight. I've got over here, I've got Albert from Albert's Jobless and Referrals. For those of you guys who don't know who Albert is, he's got 39,000 members in his list. If you are not on his Facebook list, it's Albert's Jobless and Referrals. You definitely want to be on there. Probably every 2 minutes, there's a job position that's posted on Albert's list. Yeah, every second, because I get them a lot, and you definitely want to be on that list. I have Oscar Garcia here from CEO of Aspira, and Oscar I've known for like years now, almost 5 years since we first started here at Northside. He's helped thousands of people find jobs here in Silicon Valley, and I always refer everybody to him. He's like my LinkedIn guru. So if you need any help with LinkedIn, he is definitely the person that you want to be next to, that you want to contact.
And he's a networking genius, I might add.
Yes, he is a
Thank you.
networking genius. And I have Connie Brock. For those of you guys who do know her, because I know a lot of you guys know her, she was the former program manager at ProMatch. And for those of you guys who don't know what ProMatch is, it's a great program that offers advice, offers scholarships sometimes.
Nova
Yeah,
is the
Nova.
parent over it, and
Yes.
ProMatch is a professional networking organization.
Yes,
It's fabulous.
professional networking organization. And I know thousands of people. So among my whole panel here, they've helped thousands and thousands of people find jobs. And I have Krista here, who's
Sorry,
is here. She is my LinkedIn Local host, and she is the founder of the Sassy Method, a self-help program, life coach, and business mentor, and our host tonight. So thank you so much for coming. So here's what the format is going to be of this program. We have cards that we have handed out on your seat right now. And so if you guys have a burning question, I have Matt here, who, Matt, where are you? He will be collecting your cards during the presentation. If you have a burning question, I'll have points in the program where I will be asking questions from the audience, so that's your time to kind of write it down, and then we will ask that question. Don't put your name on it for obvious reasons, unless you really want your name on there. But I'm going to get started. So these are questions that we get asked a lot here at Northside Branch Library at some of our seminars. I think the first number one question that we get asked is about recruiters ghosting people. So I want to start with that topic first. You know, how many?
That never happens, Cheryl.
I know.
They're always so good, you know.
Yeah, so,
Get back to you
I
and
mean, I know
call you
you
back.
guys have that burning question of how come I've applied for this position and I have the recruiter here, but the recruiter has not called me back, or they call me, and then we're playing this back and forth game, and when is the right time to kind of contact them back without being so, I guess, nagging, I guess, is the question. So I'm going to open it up to Albert.
Well, my answer to this question is always two-pronged. So number one, the reason why you care about recruiters ghosting on you so much is because you don't have enough things going on in your job search pipeline. So that part actually falls on you, because if you're hoping so badly for like one job and the odds of that are pretty low, you're only going to end up heartbroken at the very end of the day. And so always have multiple job opportunities going on at once. When I was jobless just a few weeks ago, I feel like at some point there's like 15 different conversations going on, and you need to have 15 different conversations going on at once, however overwhelming it is. So the thought of a recruiter ghosting on you never even crosses your mind. And so if you don't actually believe that, follow up every 48 hours.
Can I comment?
Yes.
So I'm not a believer, this might be heresy, but when I worked at ProMatch, I used to bring in panels of recruiters on a regular basis, and I used to bring in senior level execs, and they always said the same thing. When we are looking to fill a position, we don't go and post the job. We go to our network, and our network is probably going to come through for us. If our network doesn't come through for us, our network's network will come through for us. In the state of California, there's a law that you have to post a job for a period of time. So you may think that job is real, and you may think you have a shot at it, and the odds are there's a window in between where that hiring manager is already recruiting and finding the right person. And so if you're going to put time and energy into paying attention to recruiters, and by the way, who do recruiters work for? They work for the company. That's where they're going to get paid. So typically they're going to take, and they tell me this all the time, they're going to take the top 5 best people and present them. But they're still going to be presenting them against people who've been vetted by that person's network. So the odds are against you if that is the main thrust of your job search.
Not to get to know people, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
piece of it.
yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Don't even do recruiters at all in the first place. So, yeah.
I was actually ghosted by a actual hiring company.
Sorry, I'm going to have Matt run over with a microphone. It's very important that we get your question on microphone because I don't know who's hearing impaired and who's not, and I want to make sure that everybody can hear your question. Matt, do I have a microphone? Grab a microphone. He's a little busy right now.
You can use.
Hi, my name is Kevin. I'm actually a ProMatch alumnus. I want to share this with the audience here. I had an interview for a company that will remain nameless, but I was supposed to have a FaceTime video interview, and they ended up canceling at the last minute. And I follow up, nothing. I see the job posted a week later. Yeah, fill in the blanks.
And why was that one particular job so important to you that you had to go after it?
It's not because it wasn't because it was the only one.
Sure.
I'm just saying that, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you just take a job by itself and just kind of break it into little smaller pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, this is happening more often than you think. And not just with one job, probably more than one job. I'm sure a lot of people here have been through the same thing. So I'm just going to throw it out there. If anyone else wants to see if they have similar experiences, I would love to hear it.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Go through that all the time, but I don't let it bother me because they play their game, I play my game. I'm in my game to win. I'm not into, like, lose their game. So I'll go play somebody else's game. Here.
Is it working? Okay. I just want to add that I think that it's a two-way street, right? So I think that companies get ghosted by candidates all the time, and Albert runs a really large Facebook community, Albert's List, for all of you who are job seekers. I highly recommend. I don't mean to do sales for you, but I love your group, and it's free, so why not? And all the time in that group, we hear also recruiters posting about job candidates who don't show up.
Yep.
And so my point is, guys, everyone has to, at the end of the day, decide what kind of a human being you're going to be, right? Courteous or not courteous? And so, I always say the same thing to job candidates, put your best self forward. And I think the problem that we're encountering here is the emotional aspect of job search.
Yes.
And so I in the SASE method, which is my business, it's a mind life coaching business, and it really takes a hard hit on your self-esteem. So that's the core issue why you're so upset about being ghosted. It goes beyond common courtesy, and it goes into that hope that you're holding on like a life raft to that opportunity, and then the rejection of not even getting a follow-up, it really, really hurts because you're already down. You're already in that vulnerable position. As a job seeker, you're stressed, probably financially as well as emotionally. So it's like one of the worst times of life, honestly, in that moment. You're very vulnerable. And so what I want to stress to all of you guys is it's not a personal thing that the recruiter is on purpose trying to reject you as a human being. you have a place. You have in fact, I don't want you to be a second choice. I want you to find the job where they want you, and they don't say, "Oh, you're good enough." I want them to say, "You are the candidate who's perfect for this job, and we actually will do everything to get you to say yes to us." So if you think of it that way, you'll think of rejection a little bit differently, you know?
I like to think of getting that rejection notice as a nice to have, not as like an actual requirement. So, you keep job hunting until you get an offer, and a verbal offer doesn't count. You wait for that like written offer letter to hit your email, and that's when you stop. Until then, you don't stop.
Speaking of not stopping, Oscar, you're a can't stop, won't stop kind of dude. So do you have any words of wisdom? Because one of the other questions I get is, I keep interviewing for jobs. I've interviewed for like 50 jobs. So like Albert said, you keep going, right? But what happens if you kept going, Oscar, and you're like, in the past 3 months, you've applied for 50 jobs and nothing's coming in. You're not getting that interview, or you're not getting a solid, look at your resume. You're not getting the calls that you want. What's going on?
Yeah, so I do hear this from people that they apply to a lot of jobs and they're getting rejected. And one of the things that I first tell people is, number one, why are you applying to so many jobs? I am, and kind of what Albert and Krista mentioned is, my whole thing and what I teach people is, first of all, a lot of people teach you how to be a job seeker, how to be a beggar, begging for an opportunity. I don't like begging. Some of you heard me speak. My natural personality is an introvert, and I don't like sales. I don't like convincing people. And so what I've done is figured out, basically reverse engineer, hack, whatever the heck you want to call it, how to attract opportunities to you. And so I just need one opportunity, the right one that matches my values, that matches why I do what I do, that matches the needs of the organization, and I can highlight and understand, I can understand what their needs are, their problems are, and I can highlight and share with them why Oscar Garcia is the best candidate. And just like, I think it was Krista said, that all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, we need you, Oscar. We need you. And so, number one, if you are applying to a lot of jobs, stop. Like, how many times do you need to bang your head up against the wall to realize you're not going to get through? The door's over there. Number two, what we talked about, network before you have to. How many of you like it when your friends or relatives reach out to you only when they need to borrow money or a car? None of us do. Then why are you doing that to your network? You only reach out to them when you need a job. Thirdly, quit asking people, recruiters or other people, to do your job. Can you please look at my LinkedIn profile? Can you please look at my resume and see if I'd be a good opportunity? No, I'm not your mother. Do that yourself, because you know what those things tell me about the person's character. And again, I'm making assumptions. First impressions. You're lazy. When poop hits the fan, you're not going to be there, when a project. Again, I'm just making those first impressions. I don't know you. What else am I going to go by?
Tell them self-aware.
Yes.
So, Oscar, going on that thread, you just told me just a few minutes ago that he's actually hosting a seminar called How Do You Deal with Job Hunting in the Potential Downturn of the Economy. As we all know, we're in a red-hot economy here in Silicon Valley, but things can turn very quickly. So, Oscar, I turn to you, and Connie as well, and Krista, and Albert, as far as how do you deal with a potential downturn in the economy and while still looking for a job?
Yeah. Folks, it's coming. I'm looking around here, okay, and I think they're my peers, okay? You know Duran Duran, okay? 80s, okay? No, I'm looking over here, not at you, Albert, not at you. I'm looking over here. But here's the thing. In the last 10 years, basically 2008, that's when the economy went down. We have not, we've been like coasting. Been awesome. How many of you remember Silicon Graphics? Raise your hand. Yeah. I remember going to Silicon Graphics. Jesse Jackson came in. They were like the Google back then. Okay? And where's Silicon Graphics today? Right? The same thing is going to happen to a lot of these big tech companies right now that everyone wants to go work for. What do you need to do? Again, the networking, but the other part too is always be learning, adding new skills. I don't have time, Oscar. What do you mean you don't have time? It's a lot easier today with online podcasts, videos. I don't watch YouTube. I listen to it in the morning when I'm butt naked in the shower, getting ready to walk out the door. In the last in the last 2 years, I have listened to over 50 audiobooks. Well, how much do you retain, Oscar, if you're listening to audiobooks? I don't know, 10%? It's greater than your zero.
Blinkist
Yeah.
is a good tap.
But always be learning as well. And then the other thing too is that be nourishing relationships, not just building relationships. Build your relationships wide and deep within organization because people shift around, they move. Connie is no longer at ProMatch. She used to have me come and do a lot of speaking gigs. But we've developed a lot of trust and respect for each other. So wherever she goes, or vice versa, I got her back. In fact, part of the reason why, because they asked me about her, what do you think about Connie? I'm like, she's awesome. Bring her here to talk.
Thank you. I want to add to something here. For you guys in ProMatch, what am I known for saying? Don't look for a job, look for a boss. And I think it speaks to this question that we're talking about. Your job is to know your value, know your genius, and find somebody who gets who you are and leverages your genius. And find somebody inside of a company who's respected and who gets you. And even in a downturn, that person is going to have your back. When the company goes through some kind of a downsizing or whatever, your relationships with people who see your value and know your genius and know that everybody's going to win is what it's all about. And the clients I've been working with lately, and these are amazing people. I mean, I can see their genius, and it's very obvious. They can't see it. And a lot of it's because you're many times working in companies where they don't get your genius. And what happens to you after a while? You begin to lose faith in who you are, don't you? You begin to lose touch with what makes you you because you're trying to react to the environment and trying to be what they want you to be. And the more you do that, the more you get off center and you get away from true north. And I think the job, and it's being said here, is that part of your job as a job seeker or part of your job as a professional who cares about your career is to continue to learn, but continue to get better at what you're doing. The book, what is it? Playing to your strengths. Skills. Help me out here. What's the book? Strengths Finder. Again, pay attention to what your genius is and nurture it. And you'll always grow in that process, but you're going to be in touch with who you are, and people around you are going to get you. Does that make sense to you guys? That's a big way to stay vital and engaged in a down market, as far as I'm concerned.
Can you define what ghosting is? Sorry.
Ghosting.
What is ghosting? You brought it up again.
Albert?
What? Oh, you want me to define what ghosting is?
He does.
You guys were talking about it. I'm just curious. What is
Oh
ghosting?
yeah, it's basically you're in a conversation with like a recruiter and they just disappear on you. They've gone poof like a ghost.
Kind of like Brett, like dating, when somebody doesn't call you back. I'm not talking about you in particular. I'm talking in general.
You used it in the way of an employer, or used it for recruiters in other ways, not just. Okay, so it's just you apply for a job and it's not there. I don't understand. So
A recruiter reaches out to you for a job. They hype the job up to you. You're super excited. They say that they'll submit you for this job, and then you much like you go on a great date, lots of great chemistry, and then like that,
They tell you that they have somebody else.
But at least you had a great date.
exactly. So I know that so to kind of go off of the
Thank you.
comments of this recession upcoming, um, I kind of have a different perspective that depending on the industry, uh, we've already seen some kind of like recessions, and we've already seen some kind of pullbacks. So do y'all remember like 3 years ago when there was an Uber for everything? Um, that's not quite what it is these days because a lot of people have begun to realize that these sharing economy apps at like great scale don't necessarily work so well. The same goes with like the Internet of Things. Um, GoPro and that other company that does like and Fitbit were really hot Silicon Valley darlings 3 to 5 years ago. And today, both are companies that are struggling mightily. Right now, we're probably going through the same thing with artificial and virtual reality. And so, the Bay Area, unlike I think the rest of the country, goes through its own technology waves. And so you got to know like what wave to like ride at any given moment that will be really good. Like right now, if you want to go work in cloud infrastructure or cloud security or anything cloud, that's the place to be, and it will be the place to be for a number of years because the way that a lot of companies purchase technology and all that has also changed tremendously, where you don't have companies dropping lots and lots of money on capital expenditures only to have it hurt them down the line. So my long-term theory here is that we'll see a lot of like mini recessions based on industries, but as a whole, the economy will continue on a steady roll for quite some time. And so depending on what industry you decide to go to next may determine where you end up being like, going forward. But like everything with regards to what they're talking about, continuing to network, continuing to learn, putting on those audiobooks when you're in the shower, getting into the car. All of those things are things you should continuously do while you do all of that as well. And so pay attention to the market. Pay attention to seeing where things are going. The way I've done it over the last couple of years, and this is just because it's a function of what I do at Albert's List, is I pay attention to the first Friday of every month because that's when the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases its jobs report. And one area that has been going up steadily for the past decade plus is healthcare. Healthcare is dependably up every single month. And so if you want that job security, go be a nurse, go work in hospital administration, do something along those lines. So those are just some thoughts.
Krista, do you have any thoughts on
Yeah, I do.
downturn?
I have 3 tips that will make you guaranteed recession-proof, no matter what happens. And I have lived through 2 recessions in the past 20 years of my career. And both times during those recessions, everyone around me lost their jobs. And it was really hard times, okay? And so my 3 tips for you, and this is based on 2019, okay, what's happening now, is number 1, build your personal brand. And what that means is I get pitched every single day by people, strangers who find me online and say to me, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? 9 out of 10 times, these pitches, what I call pitches, because they're cold emails or messages or direct messages, are horrific. They don't know how to introduce themselves. They don't tell me what profession they're looking for. They don't even tell me what industry they work in. And sometimes they do, but they're completely irrelevant. Like today, someone just messaged me and said, I'm looking for cybersecurity in Melbourne. And I said, I'm in San Francisco. One guy asked me in Bangalore if I could help him with his job. Do I know anyone there? And so what I want to say is you have to say why, in what context you assume that I know somebody in cybersecurity in Melbourne. Like, I see you're connected to someone or whatever. So what I want you all to do is go home, get out a smartphone. Does anyone have a smartphone in this room? Okay, good. The economy's not that bad. Okay, so get out your smartphone and take a video of yourself introducing yourself. And this should be under 2 minutes, and you should say your full name, what you do professionally, and where you're looking to go. Like, I've worked in cybersecurity for 7 years in the tech industry in Silicon Valley, and I am a certified whatever, Scrum Master, whatever you are, and smile and maybe say something personal in the end, and it should be under 2 minutes, and all of you can do it. And if you have to do it 7 times before you're happy, then do it 7 times. And this video, you're going to upload it to your LinkedIn profile, and you're going to save it there, so that whenever a recruiter reaches out to you, you will send your resume, and you will include the link to your video, okay? And believe me, you will stand apart from everyone else. So I do this all the time when I introduce myself to people. I send my video, okay? And not just, of course, for job search, because I'm not on the market right now, but just in general. And people love it. So learn how to introduce yourselves. That's the basic personal branding 101. Number 2 is get yourself a sponsor. So I'm sure you've heard of coaches and mentors, but rarely do people realize that the real power of a sponsor, okay? What I mean by a sponsor is somebody who's 2 levels above your boss. So we're not talking about your boss, because your boss, if he sees you're too clever, he might be afraid of his job security, that you're going to take his spot, okay? So you can't rely completely. You should be friends, like close to your boss, but you shouldn't count on them to promote you. Because like I said, there may not be enough room for them. They're like, well, when I get promoted, then I'll let you come in. So don't worry about your boss. Worry about your boss's boss. Most people in this room don't understand the importance of visibility. When you are working really hard, it's not the person who works harder, it's the person who works smarter who's going to get the promotion. And what does it mean to work smarter? It means getting the attention of the people up there. So you can work all night on the presentation that your boss goes off to the conference and delivers. And guess who gets the applause? Your boss. So you've got your boss's back, but does your boss have your back? So what I want to tell you, the smartest thing you can do in terms of job strategy is get a sponsor who's up top. How do you do this? What you do is very simple. You learn how to network and when you don't need a job. And you reach out to these people, so you research who's the head of the company or the department. Depends how big your company is, obviously. And you offer them, can I have a quick chat with you? I work in so-and-so's team. I love the company, and I would just like to meet with you for a quick coffee and find out a little bit more about what you do. I have a few questions, okay? And what's the worst that can happen is they can say no. And then you can say, well, maybe another time, or maybe we could just have a quick chat on the phone. When I joined my last company, I reached out to 60 people, and I had coffee with 46 of them. I had the same cookie cutter email with my video and said, here's about me, here's my background, I'm super happy to be here, I'm new. And I did this within the first 30 days of starting the company, because that was my excuse why I'm reaching out, right? It wasn't a weird, because like you said, if you only reach out suddenly and
Yeah.
people are like, well, oh, he needs something or she needs something. But if you reach out with a good attitude from day one, you'll get your sponsor. And that sponsor, when they leave the company, you can always reach out to them. I just got a partnership offer from somebody who I met with, who's now a senior vice president, who got an even higher job at a different company. So I'm just telling you how you nurture those relationships. And what was the last thing? Personal branding, sponsorships, LinkedIn. How many of you have LinkedIn profiles? Okay, how many of you use your LinkedIn when you're not job seeking? Okay, so LinkedIn is such an underutilized platform, but it's gold. It's pure gold, okay? So most people don't use it the right way. Most people only use it for connecting with a partner after a meeting or something, like a client, or job seeking. You need to use it for your personal brand. And what that means is you need to have a clear title of the job that your specialty is, and you have to really make sure your profile looks good, okay? And I would recommend all of you, because of the upcoming potential recession fluctuation, you turn on the recruiter on button, because you should always be open to discussing new opportunities. I don't know anybody who should not be job seeking. Even if you're absolutely adore your current job, they might not adore you, or the economy might go bust and Fitbit is gone. So, dream jobs come and go, but you have to always be using LinkedIn to search for your next job, okay? And everyone can connect with me, Krista Leone, after this.
Oscar, I'm going to turn to you, my LinkedIn guru here. I know that you give tips for people to build their personal brand on LinkedIn. Can you give any other strategies on LinkedIn? And then I'm going to turn to Albert.
Yes. The your activity on LinkedIn, the type of content that you share, I I don't take anything away from young professionals who are creating video on LinkedIn or wherever on social media and talking about the career journey, and they just graduated last year from college and they're sleeping on their parents' couch and they're talking about, again, how to, you know, better ourselves career. Again, I don't take anything away from them. A lot of courage to do that. But here's the thing. When I look around here, okay, many of you probably look like you've been in the workforce for at least 10, 15 plus years. You have a lot of experience. The challenge with us is that we are, whatever, tech phobic, or we just don't feel comfortable being in front of the camera, or maybe it's cultural on how we share our knowledge. Maybe we feel like we're boasting. And there's a time to highlight our experience and do it in a way where you are adding value to other people. I'm going to do a talk one day on edification, because edification is actually a very powerful and very beautiful word. What I'm talking about is the boomerang effect. You know when you throw a boomerang, if you throw it correctly, it comes back to you, right? Most people, when they share content, if they do, they shoot arrows. They boast. Everyone, I see so many posts. I'm honored to speak at the Society of Human Resources, blah, blah, blah. I'm honored to speak on LinkedIn Local, whatever. Okay, great for you. But what does that do for me? Instead, how about highlighting Krista, Albert, Cheryl, or someone else on a photo and talking about how amazing they are? And what happens is it's a boomerang effect, because if I posted that, people are going to see like, wow, Oscar's a really nice guy.
I think that explains why every time I'm doing something big and interesting with my life, you're somehow on the same panel.
Thank you. But sharing, yeah, thank you. But sharing content, being active, okay, is very, very, and share your knowledge. Always be adding value to people, whether you meet them face to face or online. That is a big thing as well. Because the other thing too, you're going to show up on the news feed. You're going to show up near the top two, top of mind. You got to remember that. I tell people, when I was the head of the chamber, we had 13 auto repair shops. And if you stop me on Castro Street, Oscar, my car, do you know a mechanic? I would only think of the top two, maybe top three. And it was because we were interacting, they were volunteering. Some were involved with the chamber. Not because the other ones are not good, but it's top of mind. And see, same thing. You're not top of mind on LinkedIn or on social media because for whatever reason, you can have the best killer profile. But if you're not active, okay.
I just want to add one thing. I'm a researcher. I was in the investment industry for years. And the way that I love to use LinkedIn, and it hasn't been said yet, is I will always go into the window and I will say Vice President Silicon Graphics, okay? And you'll all be scared. I always put your finger on the send button, but that's okay. The minute you do that, you get the opportunity to go into filters, and then you go back to any company you've ever worked for, and you say who used to work at that company. And I swear to God, people will say to me, I know everybody in my network. And I'll sit down with them, and they'll go, oh, I didn't know she was there. That's my target company. I didn't know he had moved up from individual contributor to a director role. And that's the cool thing about Silicon Valley. It is a deep, rich network, and it's all there in LinkedIn. You can find people you have forgotten about. A great story about that is I pushed a guy that came to meet me. He said, I haven't been in touch with my boss for 10 years, and I'm terrified to reach out to her. Well, when he finally did, because he found her on LinkedIn, she said, where the heck have you been? I have been trying to find you. And he went to work for her and became one of the first employees at VMware. And again, so that's the deal. If you've got people out there who know you, They just don't know that you're looking for a job right now. And they've had a visceral experience of how you show up in your career. And they know that they could look good by helping you out. And not reaching out to them is a huge missed opportunity. And LinkedIn is the best resource out there for helping you find those people.
I'm going to turn back to Albert here. So Albert, we talked about LinkedIn a lot, but what about other platforms? Instagram, and I know Krista knows a lot about that. Instagram. What about Facebook? For some people who may be leery, and do you announce that you've been laid off and that you're looking for a job, or do you camouflage it?
Well, I've gotten a lot more, I think. I don't announce it as much as I used to on my own personal Facebook, as much as I do it in my own like Facebook group. So I founded Albert's List 6 years ago, March 6th, 2013. It's grown to 38,700 people since then. And it is one of the most active job search communities. We think every 2 months we have about 30,000 people who are active in the community, doing anything from liking to sharing to commenting to posting their own things. And I think that like it depends on your audience and what your audience is. And so one of the things, not to I guess to toot our horn over at Albert's List is we built a culture of supportiveness, a culture of kindness, and really, there to help people to understand that what you're going through in your job search is nothing new. Everybody's been laid off, fired, or whatever it might be, and all of these things are things that everybody can relate to, and we're here to provide that support if you, in fact, actually need it. And yeah, it's definitely. I think the one thing that I can kind of take on from what others have said, especially what Oscar said here about edifying, is that your job search and your network and your career is actually never about you. It's about the other people who are around you. And so the quote that I like to say over and over again that kind of drives how I manage everything here is one from Zig Ziglar, who said that you can have everything you want, you just have to help others get what they want too. And so my goal every day on Albert's List is actually not to get anything for myself, but to see how I can impact other people in as quantifiable a way as possible, whether that's telling a recruiter who reached out to me for a job that I'm not looking, but you can go to my community of 38,000 and make your commission there, to starting a recent 5-day job seeker challenge, which I started just today with about 30 to 40 job seekers in my group who wanted to figure out how to really get their job search off in the first 5 days of being unemployed and how they can make the most of that. And so if you're going into your job hunt and your career and everything that you do professionally about yourself, you're not going to get what you want. But if you ask other people what you can do for them, or you're able to notice what they might need or anticipate what they might need, and that's from direct communication and talking to them, you'll notice that boomerang effect as well. So going even beyond edification and being able to just help each other out, because we live in a very brutal world out here. We live in a very mean world where everybody's, especially sometimes in Silicon Valley, thinks that they're in it for themselves and they live on their own island. And truth is, we don't live on our own island. We need a little bit of everything. A startup doesn't go to IPO because of just software engineers. You need finance people, accounting people, marketing people, communications folks, operations people, supply chain folks, etc., and all the way through in order to make it work. And so the more you come from a place of service, the better off your career will be. Hope that answers some of the very passing.
Yes. I'm going to turn to audience questions because, thank goodness, I want to give a round of applause to Matt here. He is sacrificing his lawyer game so that he can be here because his boss says that she needs him. So I appreciate that. Um, Pretty good question here. How do you compete with referrals or internal candidates? Because as we all know, the internal usually gets kind of the inside track. So how do you kind of compete with like referrals? Yeah.
I think you fight fire with fire. So like you get to know people too. And again, I think it comes down to this whole notion of um, what's the volume of your And I feel like this might be the answer to a lot of the questions that we have here tonight, because I think like we all I think prior to the era of online dating, online job hunting, online social networking, we coveted a lot of whatever it is that we went after, whether it was like meeting a new friend, meeting a new date, etc. And in the online days, now dating and job hunting and all of that has become so commoditized where, I guess to bring a dating example, if I have friends in San Francisco who are literally like on, back to back to back Tinder dates, it's kind of ridiculous. And so, while I don't recommend that for your dating life, I do recommend that for your professional life, because it means you're keeping that abundance flowing. It means that you continue to keep that pipeline going. So if you lose out to that internal referral, well, great. You have like 15 other opportunities going on. And if you never lose sight of that main goal of why you're in this job search to begin with, whether it's to raise your family, pay your bills, move forward in your career, do something you truly enjoy, whatever that might be, that will stay at the forefront, and not, I think the smaller details of things from somebody ghosting you, or a internal referral winning out, or the job being reposted a week later. None of those, you'll be unflappable, and people will not be able to bother you with such things.
Okay, I'm going to go to Connie with another question from the audience. What factors to consider when applying? Do you consider location, pay, work culture, and what's probably the priority ranking of all of those when you're considering applying for a job?
Well, I think it's different for everybody, isn't it? I mean, I think what's really critical as you, the job seeker, need to think about is what's important to you. And I think it doesn't just start with the things like geography and money. It also comes down to, how you want to be valued on your job. What are you looking for from the company? All these different things. You can go to any Google site and say, give me a list of the top 20 values. For me, fun, right? That's really big. So I think your job is to prioritize for you what makes sense. I think it's insane for people to commute 3 hours a day. But some people say, having that house that I can call my own is worth it. So it's going to be different for everybody. But if you are not clear about what's non-negotiable for you in terms of your values, you will pay for it in terms of having it not work out. Yeah. Does that answer that question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Krista, I got one for you. Nowadays, how important is it to have a relevant degree compared to relevant work experience, but without the degree?
Oh gosh, okay. Okay, I admit something. I don't have a college degree. I dropped out in my third year of college. That was a long time ago. And do you guys think it ever made a difference in my career? Heck no. And the reason why is because of my personal brand. So from day one, I walked in and I'm like, I psyched myself up before every job interview, and I said, I'm going to blow this company's mind. So I researched like crazy the company, and that's something I want to talk about is reverse job search. I don't search for jobs. I search for employers. And I did if you guys go to my YouTube channel, I posted this morning a guide how to find a job using LinkedIn, and I show you step by step. I walk you through how to start with your employer. And it goes back to values. So what I do is I help my clients identify their values. We write down what's kind of negotiable, what's non-negotiable, because I don't want them to waver later on based on desperation. And then we go and we figure out what companies, I show them how to do a search and find the companies that would fit into that. Then we start following those companies. Then we figure out who's in our network, who works at those companies. Then we set up those informational interviews. That's what I call virtual coffees or real-time coffees. Then we nurture those relationships. And then by the time that company has a job opening in that area, who are they going to call? You've already done everything. I like to have those informational interviews when they're not even hiring. I'm just like, I'm a marketing professional, so I'm reaching out to you at DreamWorks in the marketing department. We have some acquaintances. I'd really like to just have coffee with you and find out more about DreamWorks. No strings attached. And later on, if you guys have openings, keep me in mind. I'm always open for the right opportunity. Because it's more about the employer than the job. Um, and so with a diploma or without, I think it's becoming less and less relevant today. That doesn't mean you guys should stop getting education. But I get a lot of people coming to me who have MBAs who can't find a job. And 9 out of 10 times it's because they don't have the personal branding and networking down. So you can't hold your degree like a shield. No longer. No longer does that matter. And I got promoted over people who had MBAs without even a BA.
Cool. Thank you. I'm going to turn to Oscar here. I've got like two questions that are kind of similar, so I'm going to merge them together. For entry-level positions, um, what do people concentrate most on? So this is kind of like a time management question. Do they concentrate on doing projects for themselves, like maybe personal branding? How many jobs should they be applying for? So how much of the time, I guess if we're looking at a pie, how much is dedicated to each portion of your job search? So like personal branding, applying for a job, um, going on Indeed, Monster, and some of those other avenues to get a job. Hope that makes sense.
I think so.
Trying
Yeah.
to the one.
Okay. So it depends on where you are in that job search. Meaning, if you are currently employed, but you're keeping your options open, obviously your time is going to be different. But if you were recently laid off and you have to find a job, obviously time is going to be different. So let me approach it where you're actively seeking. I personally think you should treat your job search like it's a full-time job. Okay, and that entails many of the things that has already been said, whether it's creating your personal brand, updating your LinkedIn profile, networking, informational interviews. I mean, I would, quite frankly, because, see, also what was said here is when we lose our job, I mean, that hurts, okay? We take an emotional hit. And give yourself a week to wallow in that. And then that following week, get your butt up, dress up. I wouldn't even work on my laptop at home. I would dress up, get out the door as if I had my regular work schedule. Because emotionally, I need to get myself in it. And I would go to some coffee shop. Because at home, I don't think anyone's going to be knocking on my door and saying, hey, let's network. But I'm at Starbucks, who knows? I might meet, right, some of these folks, some of you. Start chit-chatting. Learning how to turn a stranger into a casual acquaintance. Stuff like that. So, that's how I would do it. Now, if you're currently employed and you're open to it, I think you're going to be focusing more on the networking, your personal brand, et cetera, and so forth, being active, getting that information out there, sharing your expertise. Maybe on a weekly basis, maybe 10 hours a week type of thing. I will tell you one thing. For me, and I'm active on LinkedIn, I used to tell people I'd spend 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn. And then Apple came out with the feature where now it tracks how much time you spend on apps. I spend 16 minutes a day on LinkedIn. And I'm active. Okay? Now, most of you don't need to spend 16 minutes my time. So what is that? What am I trying to tell you? That even if you spend 5 minutes, you're going to kick butt.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to follow up, Oscar, with this one, because this one kind of like dovetails into your question, the question you just answered. Okay. If you had coffee with 46 people in your first 30 days, how do you have time to get any work done?
I think that was me.
Yeah, I think that was you answered that was you.
I should answer that because that was me.
Oh, sorry.
Well, okay. Let's
Sorry,
put it this
when they
way.
said second person from the left, I'm like thinking of my left, not their left.
They have to
Their
say
left is yours.
the pink leopard print. Put that on the card next time. Okay, so I value networking. I have always valued networking. So for me, relationships are everything. And when I'm in a job, I am going to be your BFF. I'm going to be the person who everybody in the office knows. And I think that this quality, it's possible even when you're introverted to make efforts to build community and value community. You just don't have to do it as loudly, right? But challenging yourself to overcome, that shyness, to go out there and think, what's the worst that can happen? This is just I'm just approaching this person being myself. You don't have to be somebody different. On the contrary, you should be like your real self. And so I actually think that in a workday, how am I going to answer this? Is that I'm a time management guru. So I'm so super efficient that somebody hires me for 40 hours, I'll get the job done in 20. And so I consider I get 4 hours of uninterrupted powerhouse work done, and then I'm done for the day. Because I reserve the rest of those hours for meetings. So I'm very protective of my work time. And if someone reaches out and said, hey, we're going to have an hour meeting now, and I say, for what? Is there agenda? What is the outcome of the meeting? What are the action items? And if there's nothing, I'm saying, sorry, I'm not coming. And I've always been like that. So I only go to a meeting if it's well prepared. I receive the agenda within 48 hours in advance, so I've had time to read the agenda, and I know what the clear outcome is supposed to be, and I know that I'm directly involved in this. If it's an FYI that they're like, well, you need to be informed, I'm like, okay, let me know how the meeting went. Send me an email. And I have a cup that says another meeting that should have been an email. And so at work I put headphones on, and if I'm working, no, even though I'm very social, people know I'm working. And I always tell them, hey, I'll catch up this afternoon because I've got to get my work done. So when someone asks me, how did you get 46 coffees done? I'll tell you how. I come in first thing in the morning, I'm an early bird, I get there earlier, get all my work done, and then all afternoon I'm open to checking in, 30-minute meetings, having coffee with people, following up on the mundane paperwork stuff that I have to do, some reports and stuff. So this is how you should get your work done. And then to get out of there and go to the gym, have fun, go with your friends. This is how you should work efficiently. And if you do that, your boss is going to notice too, because you're going to be not stressed. You're going to get your work done, get out of there. So,
Can I speak?
Of course.
I also want to say one other thing. One of my heroes in the career counseling world, Barbara Scher, said isolation is the dream killer. And another fabulous tip for job seekers, wherever you are in the process, is something we've been doing at ProMatch for more than 20 years. It's where you form a success team, where you find 4 or 5 other people that are looking for a job that you like and want to hang out with, and you meet with them regularly, once a week. And each week, all of you set a goal for the week. What are you going to do? And what typically happens is you don't want to let the team down. So if you say, hey, I will contact X, and you know that the following week they're going to be saying, how'd it go? What happened? What worked? Or what not? How many of you have been on success teams? Aren't they powerful? I mean, even when I, was starting my private business, I was on a success team for a couple of reasons. You don't have the perspective that group of people around you has. They can see the blocks, and they can guide you and steer you and coach you and empower you and hold you accountable. So you get traction. So find some people that you like and just say, let's try this for a month. Let's really commit. Let's show up for each other, and let's, help each other move towards that dream. And it's an amazingly powerful way to go. Again, this whole notion of trying to do this on your own, it's just the hardest thing in the world.
Okay, I'm going to kind of deviate from the questions from the audience, and I do want to let you know I am getting some questions about negotiating, salary negotiation, and pay. Right. I do want to let you know that in this particular panel, I'm not going to concentrate on it because that's tomorrow's presentation. Tomorrow, here, same day, same time, well, different day, tomorrow, but same time, same place, we're going to have our salary negotiator here to talk about that. So that's tomorrow, 7 o'clock. He can register on Eventbrite for that. So I'm going to take a deviation from that. I do want to talk about the other question that I get most common here is about contracting work. As we all know, contracting work seems to be the new normal.
Oscar is compelled. He's got something to
Oh,
say.
okay, sorry. So Oscar, go for it.
Let me say it. So my business, the way I have it set up is I do primarily two things. One is the LinkedIn career and branding training that I do, but then I also do contract work and community relations, workforce development. So technically, I'm a contractor. Now, uh, first off, if you do want to get out of into full time, is what I recommend is that how you position yourself to in terms of on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile is maybe set up a fictitious company name, whatever. My last name's Garcia, so Garcia Inc., Garcia Enterprises, and under that, I would describe what the type of work that I do, and the contractor, the client or the companies that I do the work, those are my clients. I don't look at myself as a contractor. Some people say to me, Oscar, you're a consultant. No, I'm not. Because guess what? People's definition of what a contractor tends to have a negative connotation, right? So therefore, I'm going to elevate myself. One, because I believe in myself that I am. I'm different. I'm not no Joe Schmo out there. Okay? The quality of work that I deliver is different. So therefore, I'm going to elevate myself. Okay? So it's how you position yourself on your resume, etc. And I am not at all saying that you need to lie either. Don't get me wrong. Okay? I'm not saying that. It's part of how you market yourself. Okay? The other thing too as well is that to transition into some full-time work is be looking, set up some of the some alerts. Like I love, you can get the paid version of LinkedIn, the career, whatever, $30 a month. That's fine. I'm not here to pitch that you need to do that. But if you do the Google Job Alerts, which are free, you log in with your Gmail account and go to Google Jobs, and you can set up some very specific job alerts that will let you know of full-time jobs and whatever the criteria is, and you start getting those opportunities coming to you, alerting yourself, start joining Albert's List and other groups out there so that you become aware. Start going to meetups. Some of these Eventbrites, events like this. Because you know what? Someone in here next to you, you start talking to them, and they might know someone at a particular organization as well. So those are some ways for you to transition, to help you identify and find some opportunities so that you can transition out of the contract work into potentially a full-time.
You're reminding me of something, and that is I see people all the time say, I'm not going to interview for that job because it's a contract job, and I don't want a contract job. Well, that's how I got a permanent job at Apple. Because a lot of companies vet you. They want to find out. But it's also an opportunity for you to find out if that culture fits you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever assume anything is, black and white here. Assume that for now it's a contract position. You're checking them out. They're checking you out. And I would say stay away from the companies that are notorious for just going the contract route. Some companies are. But a lot of companies, they just start you there as a way to kind of have somebody else handle the whole process.
Albert, I know you've been through several contracting jobs, so do you have any advice for our contractors who want to be perm?
Yeah, so I started out my career in contracting. I did what every South Bay person here does. I worked at Cisco for a little bit.
I didn't want to say it.
um, and so I changed the way that I kind of think about how work happens. And so there's this whole like self-awareness thing that I was kind of pushing Oscar that I didn't get into a little while ago. And so one of the things that I always think about when it comes to the work that I do and the work that anybody who comes to me as a job seeker and what they do is how exactly do you impact the organizations you work in? Are you making them money? Are you saving them money? And if you're costing them money, how are you doing it in an effective way? And so this is where you go beyond looking at your job as like, oh, I'm just going in to go do a job, but rather I'm going in to influence lead generation so that revenue increases. I'm going in to identify where we can cut costs so that we can save money and pour more of these saved revenues back into R&D. Or I'm going into this company to help them manage projects at some large scale of some dollar amount that will help them be able to successfully accomplish this project 3 months in advance. And thinking about why that's important. And if you take it into that, and then you look out into the job market and you see like, okay, there are some companies that will want this on a contractual basis. But if you only have a marketer in there for 3 months that does like content marketing for you and they leave, that's where momentum is lost. So then you're able to see like, okay, a content marketing strategy requires like something, like long term, or a project manager needs to be there long term because there's always a product that's going to be launching, et cetera, et cetera. And being able to then take what it is that you do and know that it's not just a service, but it's like a long-term need for a company. And you can convince a company that you are just that kind of person, then you can, win them over in the interview and be able to get something that is more of a permanent role. Does that make sense?
Chrissy, go for it.
I have one more tip.
Be a leader. So every job that I went into, I took control. So right away I'm like, okay, I'll be the moderator, I'll be the note taker, I'll be the person guiding this meeting, I'll put out the agenda. And pretty soon everyone was looking towards me, and that made me indispensable. The second thing is the relationships. Make sure that everyone knows you and that you stood out and you were memorable, because people don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. So go in there with a positive attitude and a smile and be memorable to people. You want to make sure they remembered you. And if you do that, that's the type of person they want to keep around. They want people who are go-getters, who are leaders. Find gaps in the company's systems and then put together a proposal and go run it by your boss. Say, hey, can I run this by you? I've noticed that there's an inefficiency here. We're doing this in 4 steps. I can do it in 2. And here's my system. And then set it up and document everything you're doing. So many times when I do resume reviews, people don't seem to realize the big picture of the impact they made on the company. They don't know the quarterly revenue. They don't know the percentage of increases. They don't even know much about the project that they were working on. I'm like, are you guys like alive here or what? Like, let's remember what our role is and document it so that when you do leave that company, you're going to have a whole list of accomplishments. And if you're unsure, use those for your quarterly reviews with your boss. Be like, here's all the things that and make sure that you get some recognition for it.
I want to actually add one more thing. So I was talking with Connie about this here at the very beginning, and that's the concept of founder mentality. So a lot of us go to work, we kind of hang out in our own corner of the room, corner of the office, and we assume that just by doing that work, that we're going to somehow get recognized. And unfortunately, and fortunately, that's not how it works. So founder mentality is your ability to take whatever you're doing in the company that you're working in and owning that piece of it as if you were the founder and CEO of that company. And so one thing that I kind of developed here in my last job search is looking at each company that I would go into, because I work in marketing, sort of coming into every single interview with a predefined vision of what I would imagine the marketing organization and the marketing direction of a particular product to go, regardless of what their vision was, because it at least showed them that I did my homework. And that's because one of the things that I learned from my last role after getting let go is that as much as you can hope that your employer is going to give you what you need, the truth of the reality is they're not going to give you anything. You're going in because they see the potential in you. They're going in because they see that you are somebody who has the capability to do the work. Maybe you don't have the capability, maybe you do, but they're hiring you because you showed less risk factor than all the other candidates that walked in. And so one of the things that I now think about how is, for the first maybe 3 to 6 months, the vision, the learning, the onboarding, that's on your employer. But from the 3 to 6 months afterwards, the rest of that's all on you. So if you're able to go in, sit down, and you understand what you do in your career down to a T, and you understand what's at stake for the industry, the company, your peers, your bosses, your colleagues, your customers, and you're able to pair that up with why it's so important in the industry and why customers that come to your company need to buy this and all that stuff, and you're able to kind of like mix it up in between and really understand how that all works, the vision can be yours. You own that vision at the end of the day. And you're then gonna get raises, you're gonna get promoted, you're gonna get poached to go to another company because you have found a way to take that vision and own it yourself, like it was, in your own little box. And people want to have that recreated at every company you go to because companies are looking for problem solvers, are looking for people to come in and really take something and take it to the next level or create something from scratch. And so if you can show that not only are you a worker and you get your stuff done, but you can move up on another couple levels and really think about it and think about it in a way that's unique or think about it in a way that takes them to that next promised land, then permanent jobs are where you're going to be forever because they're looking for people to stay on that staff and be somebody that is a permanent fixture, and you won't be going from company to company.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to combine 4 questions into one. Okay, so bear with me here because they all pretty much are pretty similar. So, I mean, what do you do or what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to rejoin the corporate world after a break? It could be a stay-at-home mom. It could be that maybe you were in another country and you were working at a certain place and you're trying to work here in the Bay Area, and then maybe it's maybe you're just looking for a job outside of your current scope. So like for me, I'm a librarian. Maybe I want to delve into the corporate world and I want to be an event organizer. So how
That'd
would
be a very
one?
good one.
Well, thank you. How would I go about? So sorry, that was like a 4-part question. Krista, I'll start with you because I mean, you're a mom,
Oh, yeah.
and I see pictures of your little daughter. So maybe I'll start with you first.
Oh,
For the
okay.
moms out there, shout out to all of them in the audience. Um,
And the dads.
and the
And
dads too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think all of us have, let's put it this way. I posted something that business is not business. Business is personal. And we're dealing with human beings. So I really think that all of our lives are unpredictable. We all have these gaps that we cannot foresee, that are not our fault, and we should not be penalized. None of you should be penalized for going off and caring for a loved one, whether that's a child, your spouse, your parent. I actually want to hire people who have family values. So, and I don't know what company would say, oh no, if you care about your family, get out of here. Okay, no company would publicly admit that. So that shows that the company should support you coming back into the workforce. Luckily, there's a lot of organizations now that are actually helping people come back into the workforce. And if you go on LinkedIn and you type in returnee or returnship, exactly,
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of amazing people out there that are specialized in guiding you step by step how to get back. But I myself have 4 kids, and I have throughout, my oldest is 17 and my youngest is 2. So considering that, I have gone from full-time employment to with a long commute to, no, that's not going to work anymore, to being a stay-at-home mom, quitting my job and staying home. I just wanted to be with my kid. Is that a crime? Then I went back part-time. Then I realized part-time I'm overworked and underpaid. Part-time sucks. So then I decided to become a consultant, opened my own LLC, and started billing my hours to all these tech companies. That worked for a while. And then I opened my own company full-time and started hiring employees and built this amazing digital agency for VR. And now I'm a life coach. Oh, and by the way, I was in Wells Fargo for 2 years as a consultant recently and helped them build Hispanic apps for almost 2 years. So you see, I've gone through all these variations of work. And I think it's all about how you package it. So you shouldn't be penalized for those things, but you shouldn't hide them. So whenever I see a resume or a LinkedIn profile and I see this huge gap in there and it says like 1982 and then there's nothing and then 2016, you need to explain that. And you have to package it as time off to care for my family, or there's no shame in that. So I just want you guys, I'm giving you permission to take time off at any point in your life. However, to return to the workforce, you need to do some trainings to show that you're up to speed. How do you get back into the workforce? One of the best ways that I did this, volunteering. So what I did was I said, I know I'm going to go back to work sooner or later, so during the day I'm caring for my child, but I'm going to reach out to my industry organizations and stay active in those organizations. I'm even going to become a board member. So I'm going to take on a whole organizational level of these organizations so that I keep in contact with key people in the industry. I keep my skills current, and I basically have something to show because it's like a pro bono job. So I'm like, I'm the head of this department, and that really helped get me through because when I went to interviews, I had all this stuff to prove that I'm active. So, you have any more
Yeah.
tips?
So the other thing that I would also encourage you to do is learn how to tell your story. So what do I mean by that? Um, who are you? What do you do? What do you want to do? And why do you want to do what you want to do? A lot of us are not good at telling our stories. We run into someone at an event like this, networking event or whatever, at Starbucks. Hi, I'm Oscar Garcia. Oh, hi, John. So what do you do? Oh, you know what? I took care of my parents and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, that is not inspiring. Learn, again, the who, the what is it that you want to do, and why. And the foundation is the why. And here's what I mean by why. The why is not what's in it for you, but what's in it for the company or the industry that you want to go to. Let me give you a specific example. My personal why, and why I'm here, because I'm not getting paid, neither one of us, is because I love helping other people dream bigger, I love inspiring them, and I love serving them. That's my personal why. But the truth is, you don't care about that. You're going to be like, haha, good for you, Oscar. But my why, in terms of what's in it for you and other people, is I empower you so opportunities come to you. That has meaning to you. See the difference in terms of the why? Very few people know their why. And if they do, it's personal. I don't give a rip about what's in it for you. The company doesn't either.
Let me add a couple things. My first career was on Wall Street. I didn't have any of the background to get the jobs that I did, but what I had were people who could see bigger for me. And I think your job is to find people out there who can see bigger for you. And one story that I can tell about somebody who'd been home taking care of her child for 8 years. I pushed her for a year to reach out to her former boss, and she didn't want to do it. And she finally did it, and within a week he had hired her to be a manager of people. It's because he knew who she was. He knew what she was capable of doing. He knew she could be learning something new. So again, don't assume that people from your past, if you do take a long break, don't still get who you are at your heart. But find people who can see bigger for you. And I think one of the things that's occurring to me here is it's pretty clear, isn't it, that we all love what we do? I pinch myself every day at 68 years old that I get to do what I do. How many of you love what you do?
Well, I get that complaint email.
Okay, but I only saw a few hands go up. Get in the driver's seat here. Fall in love with what you do, because it's worth, as far as I'm concerned, it's what you're meant to be here on this earth to do, is your genius. Again, this is my third career. You've had a bunch of careers. You've had a bunch of careers, right?
Yes.
Maybe not you.
No.
That's not true.
It is not too late to fall in love with what you do. But you've got to be around naysayers. You've got to be around people who can see bigger for you and can hold you to it and keep you moving.
And I want to add to that like 10, almost 10 years ago when I graduated from college, I didn't see myself in 2019 working in the jobs community. I thought I'd be probably with kids, a family, and a white picket fence, and thank goodness that didn't happen. Um, and so jobs I found online that were sent to me, and hopefully somebody turns it into something. After the community went over like 6,000 people, I was like, holy beep, what do I have here, right? And it's like, things are actually happening. People are getting jobs. People are finding people that are impactful to them. People who are moving from Southern California to Northern California where they didn't know anybody, making random posts in a Facebook group, and then finding some of their very best friends up here. That's happened in my group. And so the other, I think, piece of that coming off that lesson is to put yourself out there. If you're shy, I'm an introvert too. I think, are we all introverts up here?
I am.
You're on your own.
After this will be karaoke night.
Yeah, so like if you're an introvert, it's okay. Go out and talk to one person. Make that conversation matter. You're there because you want to have those conversations that really count. And so go to that one extra networking event. And if you really want to stay behind a screen, join Albert's List and introduce yourself and make a really meaningful post about what it is, who you are, what you're looking for, how you can help others, how others can help you. And then there are thousands of posts, and just go down and comment on them and give people advice. And that helps you build your credibility. It helps you build your presence. I know Krista here, she spends a lot of time on my group. And she's always providing motivational advice. Sometimes people don't like it, but you know what? They need to be taken out of their comfort zone. And she's built herself up as a thought leader, and people really follow her. And I hope they get uncomfortable because of what she has to say, because some people really need to hear it. And so, yeah, step outside of your comfort zone, do something bold, say something bold, be bold. Because if you're not doing that, then what is it that you have, right? You only have one chance, and we all need a career or work to help keep us going. So if you're going to do that, make the best of it. Be who you are, be who you're meant to be. Don't withhold your gift back from this world, because if you're doing that, then we all lose out, and that really sucks.
Okay, so for my Warriors fans, it's 111 to 111. We're tied, and fourth quarter, 57 seconds. And with this workshop, we have 5 minutes left. So here's what I want to do. I want to do.
We're gonna play the last 57 seconds on the TV.
Yeah, well, my Xfinity is broken. Otherwise, I pull down the screen, we make it happen.
You want to
Right,
have the
Matt?
ESPN
We
app
would make
with
it
video?
happen. Yeah. Otherwise, but since we have 5 minutes left, and I appreciate you guys joining us, I'm going to do a fast round. So this is like lightning round, okay? I'm going to ask all the questions that were left. I'm going to try to ask the questions that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm going to start with Albert really quickly. Albert, I heard you got a job in 3 days or less. What's the secret sauce? Can you tell them what's the secret sauce?
Having a process, so LinkedIn Premium, being aggressive with your job search, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and being able to speak to your experience in a very clear and cogent manner.
Okay. Next question. How do you age-proof yourself when ageism is happening? And I'll ask anybody to jump in and answer that one really quickly.
So I just turned 50 in March.
Just a kid.
I am just a kid. No, I remember when my dad turned 50, and I was like, man, he's old. But one is be relatable to different groups of people. Quit hanging out with your clique. I joke around when I do some of my presentations because I'm trying to make a point, but I do my talks to high school students, college students, professionals, people that are re-entering the workforce, and I learn how to adjust my message, how to relate to a variety of people. Okay, many of you, and I've had this, like when I worked at LinkedIn, I did a 1-year contract, and I was using my jokes about 80s, and all of a sudden I'm like, realize they're not laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm old enough to be their dad. I can't even talk about Rugrats because, that's my kids. They grew up with Rugrats. I was like, even younger than that. I was like, oh, shoot, I don't know. And all of a sudden I had to, change it up. Okay. The other thing, too, in terms of ageism, and these are just kind of small technical things. Folks, stop using sbccobo.net as your email address. Yahoo. Okay.
Gmail.
No, I said stop using those.
Yeah.
Okay? Stop using those emails, okay?
I know somebody has an AOL.
Yes.
I mean,
you date yourself. The other thing, too, is, and this is also a very subtle thing, too, learn how to differentiate yourself with your business card. Okay, can you hold this? So this is my business card. It's different. Most business cards are just the standard, right? Boring look, vanilla approach. All right, be different. Even some. There's many other things, but I'm just pointing out some little things, that you guys can take away.
Connie, I'm going to switch to you. Connie, is this the right time to change your job?
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Well, first of all, again, I think last time I checked, change is constant, and you've got to reinvent yourself again and again and again. And words of wisdom I heard earlier here were, and I think it was you, Albert, that said it's a trial and error process. That's why I frankly love working with people that have a little bit of age on them, because they kind of know who they are. Because they've kind of been around, they've tried things, and they have tried things that worked and tried things that didn't work, and they've been in environments that worked and environments that didn't work. And so, the unemployment rate is as low as it's been in in 50 years. It's an incredibly good time to try something new. It's a tight market right now. Again, doing all the things we're suggesting, reaching out to people, building your network, learning new skills. I started this career that I have in my late 40s.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead, really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, please.
Okay. Diversify your income. So I've written a lot of articles about side hustles and how to start one. And we live in a gig economy. Nothing is certain. Your income, that paycheck, is not going to put you in retirement, guys. So everybody should use their skills and their passions and their hobbies to think about how you can make more money. It's never been easier to start a business. Go to LegalZoom.com. Within 20 minutes, you're up and running with your own company. So that's how easy it is. And I write all the time about what you need to know to start your own company. And don't worry, I'm not a business person. Do you have a hobby? Can you sell something on Etsy? Does your mother-in-law knit? Honestly, you can do anything nowadays. Just, find ways of making more money. Consulting is huge. If you have an area of expertise, like Cheryl, we're all multi-talented, yeah? You can do event planning. Maybe you want to do wedding planning. Maybe you want to do
I talked about having the Northside wedding here. We actually hosted the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry viewing party here. Not selfishly for me.
And Albert's List was not a business until 2017. The first 4 years, I was just kind of running a community for fun. And so now, I have my own company debit card. Obviously, I'm still responsible for that money. It's not some bigger employer, but there's a really cool sense of ownership to it, because it's wow, there's people who want to reach out from companies that want to partner with us, and they think that we're huge, despite the fact that we literally right now only have a Facebook group. And they want to grab dinner and talk about revenue opportunities and things like that. And then the other piece of it is partnerships. So one of the things that I also never thought in having my own company was having a business partner who is really amazing, who has built partnerships with companies like Admiral, Coffee Meets Bagel. We've built relationships with the University of Phoenix. We've built relationships with Eventbrite and so forth. And so a lot of different companies around the Bay Area know the Albert's List name, and it's also pretty cool too. Obviously, you don't have to get that big. You can just still be your own person doing whatever cool thing you're doing. But sitting in front of all of you people at this time in my life is also not something that I would have expected. But why not at the next Lincoln local that one of you sits right here?
Yeah, and I have to add something personal about myself that a lot of you guys don't know, but I do have a side hustle. I'm a contractor for El Camino Hospital. So beyond this day job, which I love, I also contract for El Camino Hospital. I was just working for them this weekend at a caregivers conference, which is kind of depressing. But on to better news.
Caregivers conference.
It was a little depressing. wanted to ask the panel one final words from you about networking, because I know all of you have Silicon Valley Avengers in your network that you call upon on a regular basis. I know Oscar's got a huge list, and I know Albert, you've got a deep one, and I know Connie can call up people, and I know Krista, you just met, like you had somebody you just interviewed on your video who is pretty life coach, and
I just started a YouTube channel and a podcast this year at age 42, and my kids are very proud and embarrassed because I had to pay them to subscribe.